Hello, strangelings. Welcome back to my parlor. I might not be as loud right now as I will be here in a minute because my mic is a little farther away than I want it to be. But that's because I'm setting up, guys. Theta and the kids here have been very active recently. I recently found out that there's a possibility that the shrimp themselves are the reason why I keep losing anything but the tetras. And they seem to think the tetras are fine, but everything else has not survived. As far as fish goes. My throat is rough today, sorry guys. I'm not sure why it's as rough as it is, but it is what it is, so. And I remembered to make sure that I got it on the right video feed so you can see both cameras this time, guys. I don't know how or why I did that. It just, kind of happens sometimes. What can I say? Here we go with the cards, and I'll probably be also loud other ways too, because I've got stuff. I really should have started taking my expectorate, but everything is draining right now, so please forgive my weird voice. Sorry guys, I had to make sure I had it turned on. I don't need another incident where I accidentally have it turned off and you guys find out that my mic is still going on my camera for whatever reason. I don't know what just hit my thumb, but something just hit my thumb. That's just one big one, guys. And that's definitely two more that I heard fall. Sorry, I'm trying really hard not to clear myself too loudly and forgot to put the box out, guys. Okay. You know what? We're gonna have to take that out of the way anyway as soon as I put that tea filter on there. So we might as well do that now. Okay. Interesting. So the first thing that fell out was this. This is what hit my thumb. It's these pair of scissors, these shears. So, some form of craft work, possibly. I'm gonna take that as, say, you probably work with cloth or yarn. Here is one faux diamond. And then we have a Z in green. We have an M. We have not one, but two number twos. So C, M, 2, and 2. Some cutting shears, and one faux diamond. You guys know faux diamonds, luxury, want of luxury, like of such shiny things. you either have or you thrill about, whatever you want to call it, that form of luxury. My form of luxury that I prefer is leisure. Leisure and good time with good friends. That's my luxury. And yes, that does mean that back in March, I had friends essentially offer me luxury for a weekend in Florida. So that is like one of my biggest things. I love to have time with people. Good food, good talk, good laughter, good music, good show, whatever. I just like to be able to embrace some leisure time with friends personally. Now, would I take something more of monetary value, more tangible, like diamonds and pearls? I mean, yeah, of course I would. Especially if I know there's a way that I can use them in times of need. Not just for me, but for others. When I want a big, luxurious house, I mean, yeah. Half of my dream house blueprints are mansions. Of course I would. But I also would want to populate that big, luxurious house with people. Not necessarily permanently. I'd like some time away sometimes, you know, maybe make sure I have my own little apartment in the place. But let my friends come and go with their own little individual rooms or whatever. I'm the kind of person I would have loved to have a commune. Not necessarily a religious commune, but just people of like mind who are taking care of each other. There was a religious aspect. I personally, and I've noted this to people that I talked about it way back when I was still in Iowa. I would definitely, if someone absolutely had to have some building to observe their religion, there would either be, that building would have various rooms for various religions, or there would have to be a building for each religion represented in my community. Because it's all or nothing as far as I'm concerned. You either accept everyone as they are and then take them by their personal behaviors, or you accept no one. That's how I believe. You know, each person, love them or hate them for the things they do, should be judged on those merits alone. The things they do, the things they choose to learn, the way they choose to behave towards others. It should never have been where we're born and such. You know, where, how, what we're born with. You know, none of that should have ever mattered. Sorry, guys. Some glassware of mine. If you know, you know. Just deciding to make a lot of noise. I just noticed my phone went out. It was not lit enough. All right. There we go. At least I hope it was. Watch it for a few seconds because of the fact that it could be that it wasn't lit enough, or it could be that it was choked off underneath. Shouldn't be because it's getting enough air on top, but you know. It is definitely being choked off underneath. Hold on. So there's this little trick I do, guys, where I leave the burnt end of the last one on. And that will actually give me a little more gap so that, because the little flat part here for it is rounded in a way that it doesn't always come out the right way when it's just flat, and then it doesn't burn completely down. I've got a little ring. That's where that little metal, not metal, carbon ring comes from, and it just went out again. What the hell? The carbon ring comes from the fact that once this burns down, there will still be an unburnt ring. Sorry guys, hold on. This one seems to be a bit internally shorter. Hold on, guys. I'll just hang it loose. That's fine. That's fine, guys. Yeah. Hopefully it'll stay lit this time, even though for some reason the hole in this cone is tighter than normal. Not sure why. Like having a little bit of carbon pebbles there. I don't know what's going on. Sorry, I just got a little carbon on death, guys. It's fine. Carbon on death is kind of a little ironic, actually, if you think about it. Carbon pretty much is death. Everything that dies gets carbonized eventually. And that's because most things will eventually boil down to carbon. That's why we are carbon-based life forms on a carbon-based planet. They're getting excited because it's almost lunchtime for them. I had to make sure it was the right alignment. I don't pay attention to what cards are on my bottom. There's no point to. I know a lot of card readers do, and that's just one of those things they do. I don't know what to tell you guys. The idea is to randomly select cards out of the deck so that you can use your intuition. You can use the cards themselves to kind of guide your intuition to telling you what you need to know. Yeah, the cards themselves do nothing, guys. Oh. Oh, what? So you were somebody who was in a position of... Oh, how best to word this? Satisfying position. You were getting the things you needed. You were proudly able to, you know, be the person who you needed to be to not only survive but thrive as far as resources go. Not only as far as resources go, but I feel like you were somebody of great mental health and so on and so forth. You were looked to as somebody of an authority of how the world is, how The more minute details of the world, the, you know, philosophies, the, excuse me, the idealisms, instead of the doership, the idealisms, essentially. If the doership is going out and building your house, going out and then building this, building that, building the other, constructing this machinery that you need and stuff like that. That's doership, okay? Now, idealism is thinking all the time, thinking about how to do it, blueprinting these buildings out, making your schematics for your machinery beforehand. That is the idealism, right? So in this, you were looked at as the idealist, and you yourself, I feel like this is you yourself decided that as the idealist of the situation, you needed to also make sure that you were well balanced for all parts of the situation, right? So that is what I'm getting from these three cards. That is where you were as this situation arose, right? Yeah, see, that's why I was having trouble reading those three, because the Hierophant normally is a false prophet, not a is the person I'm reading for an actual false prophet, though? That's the real question. Are you a false prophet, or are you seen as a false prophet? Because if you are a false prophet, then this takes a different viewpoint than if you are seen as and treated as, right? So, are you a false prophet? Sorry, guys, I did not intend. That is so much no. It literally came off the table that I almost want to take that as the answer, but I'm not even going to take that as part of the majority possible. So, because it fell off the table, you guys don't know for sure what it said. And I could have easily flipped it over and then pulled it up as if I was being all genteel with it and holding it in a particular way. So I'm not going to let you guys accept that possible fraudulent outcome. However, this one says yes. Hands mean yes. Wings mean no. It says yes and no on each side, and it's just that, you know, we all know how getting it into that camera and not where I am specifically at headwise sometimes is not the easiest, right? That one says no. Wings. Oh, God. Well, that's okay, because that wasn't even a flip. That was just, you know, shaking it around. That was just shaking it around enough. So, hopefully, as you guys can possibly see, look, okay. This is what I'm doing. I'm basically tumbling it in my hand randomly, like this. So I don't know what it lands on when I go to flip it, because I don't flip it very well. I want to make sure that I'm not going to look at it because I don't want to see it. I want to make sure that flip is random, but I can't do it as well like that because it wasn't a good flip, right? And a yes is the final. So you are someone who is a Hierophant. Not just, you know, somebody who's a religious, seen as an idealist figure in a community, but you are a Hierophant. You have been, unfortunately, that tells me that, and I try not to judge, of course, you may have had your reasons, though falsehoods are always bad. You have been spreading falsehoods, and knowing that you're spreading falsehoods, you are working that balance. See, that's where I was having problems. I couldn't tell if you were the Hierophant or if you were just being seen as an idealist. But you are the Hierophant according to the card, which means that you have been spreading information that you have been treating as religious, as spiritual. However, you know it's a falsehood. And you've been doing it in balance, probably because you know it's a falsehood. And those of us who have ever had experiences lying long term, as I did as a teenager, you know that if you give too many lies at once, all of a sudden your lies no longer have the impact you want them to. So of course you've been working at this with temperance, right? Now, according to this, what you will be expecting, and I have a feeling I'm doing this reading because this particular person is already starting to see it come down, this whole tower moment. And this tower moment is, well, it's judgment. It's justice. The world being set right. So I don't know if maybe some of these lies have hurt people in such a way that you're getting justice coming in. It's not. See, I felt it in. That's kind of. I react to the cards the way I do for a reason, guys. I do. I really do feel like I'm reading for somebody who has, whether it was their intention or not, has been taking advantage of a situation, of their knowledge in that situation above others, and kind of cherry picking the knowledge they are allowing to be given to those people who are seeing them as this knowledgeable kind of, church priest almost knowledgeable type person. You may not be working in a spiritual way doing this, but you're being seen in a spiritual way by the people you're working with to accomplish your goals. And especially if these laurels you had been sitting on, these resources you had been gaining as needed, if that had come from any of this Hierophant behavior, I'm afraid you may have an issue because of the fact that the justice will be coming. Judgment is already being processed. And one thing that I learned so early on as a Bohemian Gypsy, the world always finds a way to rebalance everything exactly how it should be. In temperance, you have a seraphim pouring water back and forth until both cups are even. In justice, you have a judge sitting with the scales, trying to figure out exactly what puts everything back at right. So, if, as this Hierophant here, you were seen to be an angel, making sure that all these cups were even, and choosing instead to hoard more than your share, I guarantee this world card, after justice, is the world being put right again. It is something that nature prefers, an equilibrium amongst all her systems, all her processes, all who choose to live on her. Whether that's on her as in taking resources or on her as in literally on the planet, I don't care how you take it, but it's the same either way. So this is definitely somebody who there's going to be lessons coming in. I mean, from what first came out at me, it did feel like it's a Hierophant who's collected by tipping the scales just a little bit. I guess they used to call it thumbing the scales, but you know. I kind of want to. You know what? I'll go ahead. Follow my instincts. My instincts say that maybe there's a way out of this. Of course, my instincts say that the way out of this is to rework your whole narrative. No longer spread myth, which is, of course, one grain of truth built one grain of truth with a pile of lies built around it. Instead of acting in a mythological kind of way, the thing that pops out to me personally is it's not that hard to change your tact. You can easily change your mindset from I need to make sure I'm getting mine, even if I'm supposed to be helping everyone so that we all have equal, to a Chariot and Judgment. Oh, those literally popped out of the top when I was shuffling. The Chariot and Judgment, actually. Let me show you guys before I put them back in and shuffle, because I'm not taking them as part of the reading. Chariot and Judgment. Those cards popped out almost as if to say it's not just that judgment is coming and it is going to end in justice, but judgment is coming swiftly. So, oh boy. Oh boy. Listen, I've told many people that I've had to read for, that there are some things they need to change, whether it's lifestyle things. I once gave a reading to a woman who, unbeknownst to me, she had had cancer and she was currently in remission, and I had to give her the bad news that she was going to want to talk to her doctor very soon. And then I got yelled at because this was a Halloween party, and the woman called the person who had the Halloween party to thank her for having such a studious card reader, because she was no longer in remission, and she had no idea, and would have had no idea had I not spoke up. I have told people that they are being abusive towards someone, have them go silent, and then describe things to them that they need to stop. I have read for all kinds of people, guys. This one is not especially an evil, malicious sensation. This one is more of a... You might not have actually been fully aware of your own actions, too. You may have thought that giving these people half-truths was somehow beneficial to them. It never is, but you might have thought it was. That's just how things go. But I want a little bit more clarity on the situation itself, so that I can maybe figure this out. I see. You were in your Knight of Swords doing clandestine behavior. I see. So, your Tower moment is this. Like I said, you were in the Knight of Swords. You were in your own pain. But your pain was more of a monetary issue. More in the material world. You weren't getting the things in the real world that you wanted, that you felt you needed. So you started clandestine behaviors. You started to act behind a veil, as it were, to get what you felt you needed, no matter what. But in this action, you not only came out with a few scars and bruises of your own, but you bruised and scarred others. Perhaps significant others, perhaps others in a significant way. But you gave back to those who trusted you most the same thing that you got, because you chose to go after what you wanted in a hidden kind of way, in a they don't have to know kind of way. And that's why you were being the Hierophant. You felt like you weren't getting what you wanted in the way you thought was right, or in the way that is normal. So you decided to go another route. Behind closed doors, this Hierophant, you can't tell in the right or white card, but this Hierophant would have had a thick velvet curtain behind him, just like a king. Because at the time that priests were this type of person, these priests were, of course, buying up land for the power of the Roman Catholic Church. That's why a Hierophant to the Bohemians is so suspect. Sorry, guys, I didn't mean to stutter there. But it is so suspect. Is because this is during a time when the Roman Catholic Church was just as corrupt as the kingdom they were in. And in kingdoms that weren't so corrupt, they were the corrupting force. You chose to act behind the curtain instead of in front of everyone. And instead of the idealist resource they were hoping you would be, you doing this balancing act with the water for gains you felt you deserved and were not going to get, you received the reward of pain and suffering that you also held back out to those people, those same people who just wanted to believe in you as a help. And now comes your true reward, is your tower moment. The reason I have this reading, well, guys, I'm a gypsy of hope. I'm a gypsy of love. I used to say that I was made of love when I was a kid, because no matter how much hurt I had been through, I still had love for others. I might be guarded, but I still have love. And so this reading is probably coming through me because there is always hope here. There is always hope. And, fine. You know what, guys? I'm just gonna take them all out then. Screw it. See, I have these little pouches that I put the cards in so that when I'm going somewhere, I can just close them up. And each pouch is kind of really symbolic of the type of cards they are for me. This is kind of a childhood wonder deck as far as I'm concerned. And for me, I loved going to the art gallery as a child, and I always felt like a little black kitten. Like, if you just cross my path, hopefully you won't get bad luck, because I'm a little black cat, guys. Always had BBs shot at me, always misunderstood. Okay, I never had, well, I can't say I never had BBs shot at me. My brother decided to shoot me in the back, in the spine when I was a little kid. Because of it, I was so scared to get into airsoft, honestly. No lie. It took me going to Florida to experience it personally to be like, oh, you know what? Never mind. I don't know what I was afraid of, I guess, other than the fact that I had a steel BB hit me in the spine at an extremely high rate, which is not as high as those BBs go. We are all ruled by our experiences, what can I say, guys? Alright. I want just a confirmation, because I am pretty sure if we just change our ways, if we just realize that these people are looking to us like this and trusting us like this because they are people who are willing to be trustworthy for us, and then start doing what they actually see us as being the person to do, maybe. I just want a confirmation, and these are my childhood, my inner child cards, so they're the most hopeful, you know. An 8 of Pentacles, a 9 of Pentacles, and I want to say that's the Knight of Swords. I'm gonna do one more, guys. Yes. Exactly. Exactly. Okay, cool. See, I'm a gypsy of hope and love, guys. And I believe that everyone, if they just realize their impact on the world around them and start to act as if that is an important thing and that they are responsible for that impact, whether they have chosen in the past to recognize that or not, and then be mindful of the fact that that whole community or the ecosystem or whatever around us that we were impacting negatively, we start impacting it positively, and that also kind of helps us back, because then that particular ecosystem or community then aims for our best good now that we've started to aim for its. And sometimes it takes a little while, especially if you've been somebody who's been, not so good for the community. It'll take a little while for them to understand that you are trying to change. But the most important part is the trying. It might not even be the same community that you end up being with because of the fact that that community is so burnt by you, depending on how bad things have gotten. And I'm not necessarily even just talking about this reading, but bouncing back and realizing that you should have a goal of making sure the community thrives just as much as the community should have a goal of making sure you should thrive. As soon as you realize that and start participating in that, things tend to go much better. We have an Eight of Pentacles. In this card deck, it's a turtle working a loom. A loom is used for working blankets and other cloths. Those cloths used to, make tapestries for the ceiling, for the walls, not ceiling, sorry. I guess if you're in a sound booth, you could put a tapestry on the ceiling, but it might be a little heavy. It might not work right because it might be too heavy for your ceiling. But, you make blankets, tapestries for the wall to keep the house a little warmer, and also to keep sound from echoing everywhere and having your neighbors hear everything going on. And of course, the Nine of Pentacles, we are right back to that Nine of Pentacles. Building this, not necessarily building, but, doing this work that needs to be done to make sure that everybody can stay warm, brings you back to that Nine of Pentacles. And by warm, of course, we might be talking figuratively or literally. It also brings you back to that, I believe this one is the Knight of Swords. I would have to go get the book to see for absolute sure, but I'm sure this one is the Knight of Swords. So this brings you back to that Knight of Swords, that yes, you've gone through some pain. Yes, things have been hard, but you've got that gumption. You're going forward. That's what a Knight of Swords is. I said you get back to that Nine of Pentacles, and I didn't even realize it's Nine of Pentacles and Nine of Cups. So it's not necessarily that you get back to that Nine of Pentacles, but you get to that same type of position. More monetarily this time. But it will. I mean, that Nine of Cups and that Nine of Pentacles is not necessarily different. It's just the same thing in a different realm. One is a resource realm. The other is a more, I don't have to work because I have these things I can trade. Or monetarial, or I'm sorry, material. So trade material here. So essentially, I mean, I don't see you really, the tower moment doesn't mean that this goes away. I really feel that these both apply at this point once you get there. However, anyway, not only are you coming back to a position of being in good standing, at least as far as you're being able to take care of yourself, but this is also being told to you is your strength. Once you get back to this, this is your strength. I'm so glad that this didn't turn out more a negative pattern, because let me tell you, going through negative patterns for long periods of time is not fun, guys. Okay, so yeah, this is what I see for you. Sorry guys, let me get my flower line a little more well adjusted, and then I can. This is, after all, in the picture is where your cards end at. So let me get this a little more conducive to being able to get the cards up very high, because we've got 4 lanes, 4 lines, 4 rows, whatever you want to call it, cards. I may be actually changing that around altogether, because my flowers I have up here, I might just go ahead and shoot a picture of them at the end so you guys can see them. I have a bunch of flowers that I'm drying so that I can make different kinds of setups, honestly. But there's something in the works that might actually, I might have a whole different setup soon altogether, guys. I can't tell you about it now. I don't want to jinx it. And as Jinx became my nickname as a kid for a reason, I'm not going to tell you guys yet, but you guys will see it coming. Well, you guys will see it as it's coming, hopefully. Or maybe I'll wait until after I'm completely done to publish that I'm doing it. But sorry guys, that was my alarm. I was about to say, this is what I've got for you guys' reading for today. I've got to get out of here to feed my fish. That's what that alarm was all about. When I'm very stressed, I have a tendency to start being more forgetful, and that's unfortunately Ritalin damage. Anybody who doesn't think it's Ritalin damage, come comment to me and I will message you personally to let you know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyhow, this is your reading for today. You've been the Hierophant so far. And because of that clandestine behavior, you're going to have a tower moment. It's going to suck. It's going to hurt. It's going to be judgment. So it might even be a, I don't think people have the right to judge me kind of situation, which, you know, if you've been working behind their back and maybe not necessarily giving them their full share, if they're putting in the work, then yeah, they maybe have that right to judge you. But you can turn it around. I mean, justice is coming for you. One way or another, the world will be put right. So it seems in your best interest anyway to change your tact, to be the person you said you were, to be the person they asked you to be and you agreed to be, or however it works, to be the better person in general. Well, hopefully this gets to the person it needs to get to, because honestly, it won't be that hard to change and to even avoid if you wanted to. I mean, it looks like the tower moment has already started from what I can gather, from what it feels like. But there is still time to change your tact so that you can be seen as that respectful person you're hoping to be seen as. Because this is not respectful. And that's what this is about. So, like I said, I'm going to get out of here. My little fishies, they're getting all excited. I don't know if you guys can see them running around in that, well, swimming around in circles, telling me, hey, it's time to feed me. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to give these guys some food and take a picture here so that you guys can see this as usual at the end. Don't forget, even you. Doesn't matter who you are. I do love you. Take care of each other. Better than this. And I'll see you in the next one.